You read the title right. There's a new Twilight book in the year of our Lord 2020. Yes, to add on to everything else we're experiencing that is beyond the scope of reality, there is a new Twilight book coming out in August, I think, or September. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's coming out, and we never thought it would. Only it's not new, it's the same story of Twilight, except it's told from Edward's point of view, and it's affectionately named Midnight Sun. It's also not new because, to our knowledge, it's existed since at least 2008. Back then, Stephenie Meyer was writing Midnight Sun, which is just the first book of Twilight from Edward's point of view, just as a writing exercise to kind of help herself understand his character more and flesh things out among the Cullen family. And then she was like, hey, I feel like his side of the story deserves to be told. I'm gonna write it as if it's a real book and maybe publish it someday. But during that time, some little rascal stole the files from her computer and leaked it. Except the first draft was only the first 12 chapters, so it wasn't the whole book, but it was a decent chunk. And that, of course, was devastating to the author, Stephenie Meyer, and she kind of gave up on it. She was like, fine, here's the PDF, I'll leave it on my website. If y'all want to read the first little draft, you can, have fun. I'm giving up on it because, I mean, that stings. I don't blame her. But then, at some point a few years later, she hinted towards maybe finishing it. And we have been fighting tooth and nail ever since. Because honestly, the first draft, I have read it and I don't feel bad about it because it was on her official website, so I wasn't like looking it up illegally. And I didn't read it back when I was actually really obsessed with Twilight in middle school. I waited until my adult years in the Renaissance as a more sophisticated young woman to delve into teenage angst and vampirism. Why did I say that so weird? Vampirism. While it's good, it ends directly before the meadow scene. Like, literally, they walk up to the tree line, and then it ends. And that is the one scene that I would love to know what he was thinking, because he did so many bizarre things, and I want to know. Stephenie, why did you end it there? Anyway, we've waited over a decade for this book. We've earned it. Why now? Why 2020 over a decade later? 2005 was when the first Twilight book was published, so why 15 years later? No idea why it's taken her this long to release something she's been working on since at least 2008, considering she's written countless books since then. It could be because of the Twilight Renaissance, the rebirth of the Twilight fans. We've suddenly stopped repressing our like for the series out of different reasons, mostly misogyny and just feeling of shame because people like to shame people for liking things that they think are cringy. Cringe culture is dead. Long live Twilight. And as the Twilight Renaissance has only grown stronger and matured like fine wine over the years, they have practically harassed this woman to death to get this book. And perhaps our constant begging for Midnight Sun has renewed its urgency. Some theorize that the timing of Robert Pattinson about to play a famous bat and the release of Midnight Sun is nothing if not uncanny, considering he's finally gaining respect as an actor outside of Edward Cullen, the sparkly vampire. Bless. And perhaps Pattinson himself has been in hand-to-hand combat with Stephenie Meyer for the last 10 years and is finally lost. May his reputation rest in peace. No, it won't hurt his reputation because they're not making another Twilight film. There's no point. It would just be the same film. Although it would be interesting to watch on screen what happens in the Cullen house outside of when Bella's there. I'm just saying. But it wouldn't be Robert because he's too old to play a 17-year-old. He was too old to play one when he first did, but I digress. Also, Midnight Sun, though only recapping the first Twilight book in Edward's point of view, is more than double the length of the first book. It's over 600 pages of teen angst, existential crises, and a depressed boy falling in love with a depressed girl, and both of them finding happiness and a lot of danger in the meantime. And why does it matter? I'm glad you asked. I heard you, specifically, ask that just now. Why are you talking to the screen as if this is an episode of Dora the Explorer? Just shut up and I'll tell you. It matters so much, and not just understanding the story, but giving it so much more depth that a lot of people claim it doesn't have. One of the main complaints that people have about Twilight is that the Cullens as a whole, outside of Edward, have more fascinating backstories and personalities, and those just kind of get brushed over because the story focuses on the romance. Well, guess what? The little snippet of Midnight Sun we've already gotten has already given us just quality Cullen content and will undoubtedly bless us in abundance with more. I'm talking Emmett's chaotic bear fighting himbo energy, Alice being a freak who's also kind of low-key in love with Bella, Jasper trying not to kill everyone, Rosalie trying to not kill Edward specifically and waging mental warfare with him, Esme being precious and deserving of the entire world, Carlisle, that's it, just Carlisle, you know, Mr. I heard the chief's daughter was in. Carlisle and Esme trying to parent a bunch of immortal, rabid teenagers while they themselves are only 20-somethings, and only one of which, Esme, has a fully developed prefrontal cortex. Coronavirus! The second reason why it matters. We see the thoughts of a vampire, of a killing machine, specifically a human killing machine. Without giving too much away, since, you know, Midnight Sun was already stolen from Stephanie once, I don't want to add fuel to the fire, it's important for the reader to see and read just how close Edward was to killing not just Bella, but an entire classroom of kids that first day in biology. That whole hour he spends debating where to start, who to kill first so that he can enjoy her blood, and he finally talks himself out of killing everyone in the room, but then is thinking about how to lure Bella away so that he can kill her, you know, separately so only one person dies. It really adds to the horror factor of vampires, because obviously when we read Twilight, it's from Bella's point of view, and though she does, you know, recognize that he can kill her, she's too infatuated and in love and doe-eyed, and he's just so beautiful, and I don't care if he kills me because I'll die for him, and valid, you know. But she's not a reliable narrator. She doesn't really give us the scary factor of the vampires. And reading Edward's point of view and reading all the ways he wanted to kill her and everyone in the room, and not just kill her but suck her dry, it really sends a little shiver down your spine. You're like, oh, he's actually scary. He's not this mystical, beautiful boy who's a little dangerous and yeah, my blood smells good to him, but I'm in love with him and he would never hurt me. No, he almost killed you multiple times in just the first 12 chapters of the book. Alice saw it coming. She's like, there's a 50-50 chance. You'll either marry her or slaughter her. I don't know. Oh man, and the Cullen family meeting. I don't want to give more away, even though I'm sure a lot of you watching this have already read the draft that was on her website. But if you haven't and you're waiting for the book, oh my god. The Cullen family meeting to discuss Bella as to whether or not she should be killed because she knows too much. Just... It's poetic. It's beautiful. It's chaotic. It is one of the funniest chapters while also being super heavy because it does discuss, you know, the death of innocent people. It's cold and calculating, but also hilarious. Oh boy, you know, yeah, they should make another movie just so I can see that play out. Oh my gosh, what I wouldn't pay to watch that play out. I would risk Corona to go sit in a movie theater and watch that one scene. I don't even care. Anyway, moving on. Edward is a freak. We don't need another book to tell us what we already know. However, seeing his thought process behind a lot of his actions and mannerisms gives so much clarity to not just his character, but to the story as a whole. Because a lot of Bella's narrative about her perceptions of Edward's reactions are just wrong. Whenever you see what he was actually thinking, you realize Bella was wrong, and it kind of helps level the playing field. There's 3 sides to every story. There's Bella's side, there's Edward's side, and then there's us, the actual rational thinking people, who have to decipher between the two. But for the most part, his mind is consumed, even from the day they met in biology when he thought of ways to kill her, was still trying to figure out how to keep her safe. First from himself, and then from literally everything else that tries to kill her, because it just seems like literally everything's trying to kill her. I'm going to make a comparison, and I need you to hang with me, alright? So we know the show You, and it kind of makes you sympathize with Joe, despite seeing him be a literal serial killer. Stay with me. When you see how someone rationalizes their actions to themselves, it gives you more perspective and empathy and makes them seem a little less evil. Humans are complicated. A lot of the really twisted ones also have redeeming qualities. But those of you who are attracted to Joe need to go to therapy because he's way more twisted than Edward and most, you know, bad boys, whatever, from TV shows. That's just... If you find him attractive, get out of my way. But seeing Edward's reasoning behind shunning Bella, being rude and cold, and then trying to get to know her, and even why he would sneak into her room to watch her sleep at night, makes a little more sense. Never said it was okay, just said you understand his reasoning and it makes a little more sense coming from his brain. He's 17. He's frozen with a teenage brain that has experienced more than 2 lifetimes. He's also otherworldly. He's an immortal vampire. Their reality doesn't exactly line up with ours. What's acceptable behavior to them is at minimum bizarre and at most completely savage to us. So it's important to have that perspective for not just Edward's character, but also all of the Cullens and how that affects Bella the more she moves into their world as a human and leaves her own behind. Third reason why it matters. Watching him fall in love with Bella is absolutely hilarious and heart-wrenching. One of my favorite moments from the first draft is when Edward decides he's going to start talking to Bella after he's already realized he's fallen in love with her, and he keeps telling himself like, okay, I need to keep it light, don't get too serious, keep it light. He's just trying to have a casual conversation with the girl he's madly in love with for the first time in his entire life that has extended past 17 years into 100 or so. And it's this exchange. Bella says, "Why won't you leave me alone?" "Believe me," I wanted to say, "I've tried. Oh, and also, I'm wretchedly in love with you. Keep it light." This idiot, this absolute dumbass. There's no other way to describe him. There's a moment in the book where Edward realizes just how much he loves Bella and also continues to fall more deeply in love with her. And it is so poetic and beautiful. And say what you will about Stephenie Meyer, but she got that part right, okay? She has good moments where she writes just like Academy Award winning crap, okay? I hope she changes some things with the original manuscript, but things like that need to remain untouched, please, for my sake. But isn't this just cashing in on the same story for the 3rd time? Maybe. I don't care. Call me a nasty capitalist or apologist, whatever you want. I don't care. She's an author. She wrote the book. I want the book. I'm going to buy the book. I can't act like I'm morally superior and that I don't support her when I actively advocate and love 4 books she's already written. Her faults as a human being don't matter to me when she's writing something that I enjoy. She's worked hard on this book, and she's written a series that has somehow kept its stake in my heart for almost 15 years. That matters to me more than her faults as a writer or as a human being. As an imperfect person, I'm not going to cast the first stone, and I'm not going to aid in stealing something from her again that she's worked so hard on. That must be devastating for an author, and specifically Stephenie Meyer, who's been harassed for this book for over 13 years. I'm not going to punish her for finally giving us what we want. Twilight fans can talk about how much they hate her, but they wouldn't exist as Twilight fans if Stephenie hadn't, you know, wrote it. I know a lot of people specifically care a lot for the Quileute tribe and how they were misrepresented in the book in a really, nasty way. There are plenty of resources to support them. I'll leave some links down below. If it really weighs in your conscience that much, you can donate there to help them out. Anyway, overall, Midnight Sun is important in understanding the full story. It's important to understand where Edward's coming from, and it gives you some more empathy and compassion for his character, and you see him as you see him as really evil when you realize how willing he was to kill people, but then whenever he overcomes it, it gives you're a little more proud of him. I don't know, whatever. It's just important to hear both sides of the story in this case because this is such a weird, bizarre story. I'm excited for it. 2020 is weird enough, might as well get ourselves a Twilight book. Anyway, thank you for watching, and now it's time for me to mercilessly plug all of the things that I'm involved in. First of all, if you want to join Patreon, it's a fun little thing where I get to kind of have a more personal relationship with you guys, which I love. I've loved getting to meet with you online, arguably, and talk with you guys in Discord, and just being more involved with the community that supports me is incredible. Anyway, if you want to check that out, link down below. Also linked below is my Twitch link. I am not streaming yet, but I'm getting ready to. I just have a couple more things I gotta get. I gotta get the funds in, little few tweaks here and there. But I'm gonna start Twitch streaming, playing video games, specifically Animal Crossing, and then some other stuff later on. We'll see. Just looks like fun. I just want to have fun. I don't care about anything else, whether you sub to me or not. I don't care. Just want to have fun. Just want to vibe. I get lonely, so I want to stream so people are with me while I play my games. Thank you. Also, I'm still selling enamel pins. If you want to pick any of those up, there's 3 of them. Here's a picture of them. There's an Etsy link down below where you can order them, and it might take me a minute to get them to you because I have to ship and handle them myself. Also, my Instagram and Twitter links are down below. 1 like equals 1 prayer for Robert Pattinson's... I'm filming? Anyway, 1 like equals 1 prayer for Robert Pattinson's sanity. Also subscribe because it's what I told you to do. Why don't you just listen? Just follow the rules. I will call your mother if you don't stop misbehaving. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
I put my foot in my mouth again.